Oh,
My upbringing was quite unusual, to say the least, but I prefer to call it eventful. From growing up in between four different cities, San Sebastián de los Reyes, Venezuela, Bogotá, Colombia, Delft in the Netherlands, and Los Angeles, California, to getting kicked out of my kindergarten because I showed everybody my willy, which then led me to Delphi Academy, a K through 12 based on the teachings and principles of L. Ron Hubbard, otherwise known as the founder of Scientology. Yes, I went to a Scientology school. No, I'm not a Scientologist. But this is the story of my time there. I always knew I was an outcast, and so did my mother. I never was particularly good at many things. Like wasn't that fast. Wasn't good at math. I still not good at math. I couldn't draw very well. And my mother being an occupational therapist, she works with kids that have autism and cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, other developmental disorders. So learning is a key part of her profession. So she studies how different children acquire knowledge differently. So different methods affect different children. And so seeing that I wasn't really good at anything, she said, how about I impart this knowledge of my profession onto my children and their educational careers? So she sent me to Montessori school, which was my first taste of like individualized postmodern learning. And I mean, she had high hopes for me, but fourth weekend, show and tell, and I showed and tell. Just let everybody know my situation, and then expelled right then and there, which led me to Delphi Academy. Just the forewarning, Scientology is quite daunting, even for me, but I would like to categorize it. I like to think about it as two different things. There's a religious philosophy, and there's also a learning approach to learning. So with that in mind, here I am in the principal's office. First day doing my comprehensive entrance exam where I had to draw a mouse. And so here I am. My mom's next to me, and the principal's in front of me. She hands me the paper, and I'm not very good at drawing. So I cover my paper, and I start drawing my mouse. 2 minutes go by, and the principal is like, why is it taking so long? It's just a mouse. And I tell her to chill out, give me a second. I don't know exact language I used there, but something along those lines. 5 minutes go by, and then she's noticeably agitated. She's like, where is this mouse? Show me what you have. And so I said, okay, well, here you go. And she looks at it, and she becomes really puzzled. And I'm like, she said, where's the mouse? And I said, it was all that was on the paper was just a piece of cheese and a hole in the wall. That's it. And according to my mother, I looked her dead in the face and I said, don't worry, just be patient. And then and there, I got my scholarship to this thing from like I was set. And so I guess that showed a lot about myself. So that's when my educational career at Delphi started. But what does that mean, educational career at Delphi Academy? It means a lot of things. It means going to school 8 to 5 every single day, ever since I was 6. It means that I had formal Fridays every single Friday, had to dress up in clothes, and you got in trouble if you had your shirt untucked, and everything. They really scrutinized me. On top of that, we had an ethics department, so there was virtually no bullying at my school because they would bring in the children in question for bullying, whatever, and they would identify who the bully was, and get to the core of why he was bullying in the first place, which usually has something to do with themselves. And it really addressed it quite nicely, in my opinion. We also had individualized learning. So it was 8 to 5 every day, but we were all focusing on our unique material. It was all self-taught. They would provide you with a textbook and something called a check sheet, which is practically just a list of steps you have to follow, which could be reading a text to completing some sort of project that demonstrates your knowledge of that particular subject. It could be anything of that. So it was all self-taught, which also meant that there were no teachers in my school. I never once had a lecture until I left that school. No multiple choice exams, no Scantrons to fill, none of that, no true false questions. only short answer responses that showed that we could deconstruct that topic and show full comprehension. So it is a Scientology school, and where we had some sort of distinction from other schools was that they defined 3 barriers to study, is what they call them. First one is a misunderstood word, which is just that, a word that you don't understand fully, which doesn't allow you to completely understand the text. We have lack of mass, which is basically when you can understand what the words mean, but you can't visualize what and be constructed in a way that you can show somebody else. And there's also skip gradient, which meant that you just skipped a step. You can't go from addition to, simple addition to complex division right away like that, or calculus. That doesn't work. And they identified ways that you can approach these barriers to study in a way that will allow you to overcome them. And so these barriers to study, from a young age, they teach you these barriers. So in my opinion, I think it's a form of brainwashing. I was the only non-Scientologist there. But I was able to kind of just observe from a distance, knowing that. And they start telling you that there's symptoms to these misunderstood words that you pass. So maybe I'm reading the text, and then there's a word that I don't understand, so I'm gonna start getting upset, or I'll start yawning, or I'll start slouching in my chair, or I'll get hunched over and reading my book. And all those are symptoms of me having passed one of these words. So the teachers, supervisors as we call them, would just walk around the classroom looking at all the students and coming over, and if they saw a student yawning, they would say, "Hey, how you doing? Is there something that you didn't understand here? What does dedicated mean?" And then the child would have to respond correctly, and if they didn't, they would have to review that text and ensure full comprehension of the material. So when I got to high school, this was K through 12, mind you. When I got to high school, they started introducing a little bit more of the religious philosophy, which I wasn't particularly a fan of. They started bringing in people giving lectures and talks about Scientology, and I didn't really like that. So I told my mom and my dad, I said, "Hey, yeah, this isn't gonna work out. Just change me again." And so I went to a Catholic school, and but hey. And so I ended up going to Catholic school, but I brought with it the knowledge that I had acquired from the school, which had nothing to do with the religious philosophy, but everything to do with the learning approach. And even to this day, I'm able to learn things completely because of that, I believe. So I was able to take things from something that is not always viewed as so positively and turn it into something that is in my favor. And that was my experience at Delphi Academy of Los Angeles.